break this fucking loop.
Thanks for jumping into one of the first videos in our big JumpCut Play relaunch. We have plenty of great content to come, but this one here is particularly special. Last week I got to sit down with the one and only Jason Kelley, the voice of Colt Vahn from Deathloop. I was freaking out because this has turned out to be one of my favourite games close to of all time. We sit down and talk about his career, his performance in Deathloop, and his future in video games. So yeah, enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy. We have a very special video in store for you today, as on this faithful Friday night, or Friday morning I suppose for you.
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon. I'm joined by the one and only Jason Kelley, star of Arkane's latest Deathloop. Jason, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Oh, what's happening, Aaron? How you doing, brother?
I'm good. So before we get started, I thought I'd do a little rundown of you, who you are. You're an experienced actor. You've got parts in shows such as SWAT, Lucifer, Arrow, Dronish, Bosch, Young Sheldon. You can go on. You've got a fantastic voice, I have to say.
Thanks.
It's been heard across some of the biggest brands in America, and now you're picking up a few accolades in video games, and you've had roles in games like Vainglory, Doom Eternal, and now one of the biggest games of this year, Deathloop. How it must have been a wild ride, but how has the launch for Deathloop been for you?
Absolutely amazing. I had no idea what was going to happen. I had no idea what to expect. This is my first real foray into big games, right? And really, honestly, my first lead in anything. I've been doing bit parts, with the exception of commercials. I've been doing bit parts and guest stars here and there, but to have a lead role, this is my first time. And Bennett Smith, our session director, kept giving me feedback along the way about how the game was looking and how the test groups were going with it. And he was sending me text messages of things that people were saying in test groups, and he kept on saying, JK, hang on for the ride, man. When this thing drops, I have a feeling. We all kind of have a feeling about this one. It's been amazing. I was sharing the other day on a cast. I had 20 or 25 Twitter followers on Sunday. And I had an old account that got up to about 700 years ago, and I got rid of it because I wasn't using it. And then this year I just kind of created it and just said, whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen organically. I'm not going to chase it down. I woke up on Monday and I had 250. And then on Tuesday, I had about 400. It's over 500 now. It's probably close to 6 now. I'm blown away. The response from the fans has been amazing. And as a performer who started in stage, who loves that immediate response and audience participation, where they're letting you know in the moment, hey, this is awesome. For me, that's what this is. And to get that kind of response after a year and a half of working on this project, man, good God, I what else you want me to say? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
It must be great. I mean, the game has come out to 5 out of 5s, 10 out of 10s. They've been thrown all over the place. It has clearly been hailed as like one of the best games this year. Probably the best game of the last 5 years or 5 years or so, I'd say as well. And
yeah. Wow.
How does it feel then for someone like yourself, for like a voice actor in this role, to be getting like the compliments and getting the recognition that you've been getting? Because I often feel like, save a few like high profile things here or there, quite often it's really easy to forget about the people that are voicing the characters over the mechanics and all of this that comes with the game.
Yeah, I'm jiving on what you're talking about, because it can sometimes be a thankless medium, right? And maybe it should be in some ways. The goal is for you guys to play, for everyone to play the game and immerse in the totality of the game. But as a human being, as somebody that never really got accolades along the way for his performances in sports and all the stuff that I did when I was younger, to get recognized now for the thing that I love to do, for my craft, purely on my voice and my ability to act, it's just reassuring that I'm on the right path. that I'm going the right direction. I actually, a part of me loves the fact that we're maybe breaking the mold and the formula a little bit, where the performers in these games are getting recognized, because, you know, we operate in a medium where some people are specifically strictly just voice actors, but there's a lot of us that are actors in other mediums, and it impacts our career. And, you know, from a standpoint of influence, it's great to have this response when my agents across the board are making phone calls to casting directors saying, hey, we got Jason Kelley. He just did this. And then they go online and they go, oh, he's got a growing fan base.
Yeah.
Let's give him a consideration. So I'm kind of glad that it's happening. I think it's important. I think most actors take full responsibility for what they do in their craft. And I think because our likenesses aren't always associated with our voice, I think it's great that this is this moment where people are going, oh yeah, this person. And we live in a world where there's a medium that allows the audience to interact with the people that actually did the thing. I think it's wonderful. I think it's amazing. I think more recognition should go to the performers, not from an ego standpoint, but just from a standpoint of craft. Like it's not easy work. We're on camera. You've got a million things making you look great. VO, and you got a mic. That's your camera. That's your audience. And you got to really work your craft to be good at it. And I actually didn't know I was good at it until this.
That was literally going to be my next question. When did you realize that you had the voice for voice acting?
It was all along the journey. Stage, improv, sketch, TV, everything. All on the way, people always comment, you have a great voice, you have a great voice, you have a great voice. And I was always drawn to the Morgan Freemans, the Sam Jacksons, the Lawrence Fishburnes, like the guys with these incredible voices. There was really nobody, in my opinion, in my generation that went down that path of having this signature voice. And I was kind of like, how do I do that? How do I carve out a niche that way? And to let that be that thing that draws me into my career in a greater way. And I actually met Morgan Freeman one time about a decade ago. We were at a restaurant, and I was at a restaurant on a date, and we were talking about the individuals I just mentioned. And the second I said Morgan Freeman's name, like Morgan Freeman puts commas where commas don't exist in words. He comes walking up, and I'm like, oh shit. It's the voice of God. It's Easy Reader from Electric Company. Oh my God. And he stopped and had a quick conversation, and I was stammering over myself. And I was like, do I let him know that I do an impression of him? No, don't do that. And he said, you know how you become a great actor? And I was like, no. He's like, never quit. He patted me on the back and walked away. And I went, some could say he was patronizing me, but I took it as a note from an artist, from a master to a young aspiring artist. And I just leaned in, and I found out along the way, I've got a good voice, and I've just been working my butt off to make it great. And I don't know if I'm there yet. And I hope I actually don't ever get there, because I always want something to work on. And this is fun. This is fun. It's like playing a saxophone. You can naturally pick it up and know how to do it, and play and play and play, study the classicals, go play jazz. You know what I mean? But to start mastering the intonations and the inflections and the cracks and all the colors that go into it, man, to me, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm like starting that journey. I've gotten all of and you'll forgive me because I do kind of ramble a little bit, but I've gotten past the curve of learning how to play. Now I get to just play and kind of go into and experiment with play and do it intentionally. And I kind of feel like that's where I'm at right now. And I'm super excited about whatever's next.
Yeah, that's a great place to be. I would have been flying high if Morgan Freeman patted me in the back, honestly. If he walked by me, I'd be talking about it for years.
So I still am, because it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know?
Also, just to add in there, I used to play the saxophone. A little bit of useless trivia for you.
That's great. It's not useless trivia. Saxophone is it, man.
Yeah. Really?
It's a great instrument.
So going back and forth between like your voice acting and your TV, what is kind of what's the biggest challenge for you when you're just like you were saying, you've just got the mic, or you're in a camera? What's the main differences for you?
The biggest difference is for me, I mean, when you're on camera, you can get away with so many different things. You can use a number of different tactics on camera to convey what's going on inside of you. And it can be stillness, it can be a gesture, it can be a look. And the more gravitas you have, the more you're able to get away with that, the deeper you're able to think and magnify the intensity of that thought and that emotion, the more it's going to read and the more an audience member is going to project on you what's going on, because that's really the job, is to strip yourself down and let people project on you what they're feeling in the moment based off of the context. Man, Aaron, on voice, this is all we got. You got a microphone that acts as the audience and the camera, and you got to figure out how to convey all of that through rhythm and projection and vowel extension and percussives and all of that. It all has to come through that medium of pickup, of capture. And it causes you to use everything you've got to make it feel real, because it's got to feel real on the other side, right? Like, I could say, I'll break this fucking loop, but I got to immerse myself in the reality in my imagination, which will then activate all of my emotions and my intentions, so that when it comes out of my mouth, what you get is, I'm gonna break this fucking loop, and y'all feel it. And then that becomes your catchphrase, which you're gonna get tattooed on you. Trap. I will break.
You know, from playing, I haven't actually completed the game because I'm taking my sweet time getting around to it, because I've just been, nosing around in different parts of the map. But I'm adoring it. Arkane are my favorite developer, so like this is a game I've been looking forward to for 2 years since it got announced. And what you're saying there is, I think, entirely is the case in the game, because I feel like your performance in this is more real in a lot of ways. I think because it feels like, how would you be if you were stuck in a time loop? And it's just really, you're kind of isolated on your own. Obviously you get Julianna, but you're the only person on your side trying to break it. And your performance in a lot of it, like, you're just talking to yourself, you're talking to Julianna. I've laughed at parts of it. I've just, really got what you're talking about. And that's something, like, personally for me, I don't feel I get a lot of the time with video games. So I think that's entirely the case. It feels very anti-video game in a way. It's just kind of naturalist in a way, I think.
That's what we were really going for. Like that is a note that's something I tried to bring to the role.
Yeah.
And Bennett Smith, our session director, booth director, God, he keyed in on it and was like, yo, let's go down that route with this character. And it really had this incredible way of making it real and special. And I'm glad that it played the way it played. And then what's ironic is all the other actors in the game came at it that way and approached the characters that way. So it became a tone that was set for the project. And I've listened to, I haven't played the game yet. I don't have a PS5 yet. I'm breaking an exclusive with you because I made an announcement that I was doing a bit and said I didn't have one. And it turns out I was just notified by Bethesda that PS5 was made available and is going to be shipped to me, and they are going to be getting me a game as well. And so I will be playing the game, and you're the first person I'm sharing this with. So super excited.
Literally, one of my questions, I was going to ask if you got your PS5 yet, because I saw that video and I wanted to know.
Yeah. So Bo Jensen's in charge of PR at Bethesda, and Pete Hines is the SVP of Global Marketing and Communication, and they reached out to me this morning via email. But even before that, individual I'm going to draw a blank on his last name. It's really important that I get this, so I'm going to log on to my Twitter real quick and give you his name, because he was grateful enough to extend a message to me and offer to give me Jimmy Champagne. Jimmy Champagne, yes. At Jimmy Champagne and at Stay Ready, at Stay PS Ready. He runs a new show, a new platform about PS games. They had a spare one in their studio and he was going to send it to me. He hit me up yesterday saying, yo, if you can't get one, let me know. We got one, a spare one. We'll send it out to you. And I was like, what a guy, right? So Jimmy, I appreciate the gesture. I text you already and let you know I appreciate it, but this is me to you. Thank you so much. But also to the people at Bethesda for hooking it up. It was just a bit and a joke. I have a new son, and I just can't justify spending the money on a game that on a system. Thank you so much. But I couldn't justify. I was like, I got a diapers or PS5.
Yes,
diapers. You know what I mean? But yeah, now I've got it, and I've got a great way of streaming stuff. And once I get it, I get to play around with it and see what's new in the PS5 world, because I haven't had a system since 2008. I think I got rid of my PS3 or PS2.
It's been a bit then.
It's been a month. It's been a minute. Been a minute now.
You've got some stuff to catch up on then.
Yeah, a little bit.
So as this was like your first like you were saying, like one of your first leading roles, when was the first time you heard that this, of this project, whether you knew it was Deathloop or not? How did you become involved with it?
It was a straight up audition. I got an audition opportunity in October 2019. It was live. I went in. I had read the material. I prepared it like I would any other kind of audition. I treated it like an on-camera audition. I treated it like every audition I've ever had, with the exception that I didn't have to memorize the material. I went in and I immediately knew that I was right for the role because I understood Colt's sense of humor.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that in the breakdown, that they wanted to try and isolate his sense of humor. And I have a Second City improv background. That's my foundation. And I've also played some roles in my career, both on stage and off, on camera, where characters with a lot of gravitas and menace can come off really terrifying if you don't hedge that with a sense of humor. And I learned how to create humor through, I have a little trick of creating humor through some emotional and intentional harmonies in those notes that come off as really, really funny. And I put it to use in this project, and I got the job. I had no idea what the job was when I got it. I had no idea what the project was, because everything's always a project code name. You know what I mean? So I had no clue until I was in it, and I was months into it when I kind of found out, oh, this is the lead of a video game, and oh, this character happens to be African American or a black actor or black character, and oh, this happens to have a black female antagonist, and oh, this also happens to have a black director. And I went, oh, this is dope. This is something really different. And I just went with it. I just kept on leaning into what I knew. Here we are.
So how did that feel then to go from, because I know that you had like it was I want to make sure I'm getting this right, because I know I always say troupe wrong, but you had the first all black co-ed improv troupe. To go from that to then the one of two black leads in one of the biggest games of the year, how is that feeling?
The feeling's amazing. It's, I always say that every artist has a through line in their career where if you go back and look at their body of work, you go, oh, that's their career and that's what they represent.
Yeah.
I was at Second City and iOS and UCB, and we was performing, and me and the 6 other black improvisers that were at Second City at the time in Hollywood, we were all kind of the token black person in our respective house improv teams. And it was fine. It's just within that bubble of being the only one, each time we'd step on stage to initiate a scene, it would immediately get categorized as a black role, or we'd step out to do one thing and somebody would step in to justify what we were doing physically, and it would turn into a direction that we necessarily didn't want it to go. But the rule of improv is you say yes and so you go with it. And it happened enough time, and it was never anything negative or really bad that ever happened. It's just you realize I'm left in this very small space of creative space to operate in. And I was like, you know what? Right around the time we were all kind of graduating from the program. And I was like, I was talking to my buddy, my boy, Marshall Givens, who ran our house lights, but he hadn't been playing. He came from Chicago. I was like, yo, man, I've been thinking about starting an improv troupe, an all black improv troupe. And he was like, word? I said, yeah, but I can't do it alone. Would you do it with me? So he and I reached out to one other guy, 3 of the ladies that we knew at the company. And we started the Tuskegee. A friend of mine gave us the name of the Tuskegee Experiment as kind of a jab at social injustice. And that became our suggestion we'd get from audiences. And I'm telling you, it was magic, because we stepped on stage the first time and realized, oh, snap, we are free. One, you've never seen this in LA before. We're all really good at what we do. We were an ensemble. We had an ensemble of players, and you see all these different colors of personality and intelligence and type of work, character, and people that were really good at adding, hitting buttons, and people that were really good at building the relationship of a scene. You had all this ensemble work going on, and we were free to be whatever we wanted on stage, and nobody could change that other than us. And we were in full control of our creative voices. And the entire time, we never, ever, ever once made any reference to what our ethnic makeup was while we were on stage. It just was apparent. So why hit it on the head, right? I learned in that experience, we played together consistently for 5 years, but we've been together for 10 now, 10 or 11. I learned how powerful it was to make a statement without making a statement. And I prefer representation in that way versus hitting a nail on the head. And when I found out that Deathloop was that, I went, oh, this is perfect for me. Because by definition of our presence in the project, it just became a project with African-American leads and creatives at the helm. So the flavor of it was going to be influenced by us no matter what. And I love that, because I don't think you always got to hit it on the head. I think it's more powerful when you don't, and just do the thing and let the work stand for itself. And fans are going to either be about it or they're not. And if you make it about the work, and you happen to be this of whatever culture or gender or orientation that you are, if the work's great, what you are is seasoning and not the meat, right? And in the case of Tuskegee, and in case of this, it's about the meal, and the seasoning is that we happen to be this, and we're great at what we're doing, and audiences dig it. That's all. And now they expect it and want to see it, want to experience it more, because you're beginning to look at things from different eyeballs that may not necessarily be your filter.
Yeah, that I 100% agree with that as well. Like, I think by just letting it naturally be a part of the project, it can be far more like impactful, because sometimes if it is hitting the nail on the head, it's almost like, look what we're doing in this role sort of thing. And I just find that, you know, if it's to be a kind of natural part of any project, then that's how you get to a stage where, say, it doesn't become a thing that you have 2 black leads in one of the biggest games. It's just, you just happen to be black people in the role. So that is fantastic. I think that's brilliant. So going back to your role, you're obviously, as we're saying, one of 2, Ozioma. How was that? Like, was there a chemistry? Did you just kind of pop off together? Like, what was?
I didn't know who Ozzy was prior to. The first time I heard her voice, I started laughing because I went, oh my God, I know exactly who this character is. She's so feisty and she's so smart. And her vocal quality, like I used to be in a choir. I used to direct a choir when I was younger. And I'm into voices. Like I'm into hearing real small nuances in people's voices that most folks just don't even catch. And she has this timbre and resonance and power behind her voice and snarkiness that I absolutely adore. The first time I heard this character, I went, this is not going to be difficult to play off of. She is going to make me incredibly better. And these scenes are going to pop because I know exactly how to play into and against it. Yeah. And then we get to meet and I'm going, oh my God, I love this chick. She's so cool, right? She just got her own style, her own flavor, and she brings it all the time. She's tiny, but she's full of fire, and I love it. Love that about her. We did one day where we got to work together. I think 1 or 2 days back to back. We got to work together live in the booth, which was very rare. And we just were playing. There were points in time where Bennett was just like, okay, enough. We got to move on. Because we were just playing off of each other. It's always an actor, you want to be on stage with somebody. And I've said it once, I said it 1,000 times. Ozzy makes me better as a performer. She makes Colt better as a character.
Yeah.
Without her, I honestly don't know what my performance would have looked like or felt like. And she's as much responsible for the success of this game and fans and gamers liking the game as I am. I don't really look at it as I'm the lead of the project. There are two leads in this project, and it's her and I. And God, I would love to be in a project like a live action with her because she's great. She's a consummate professional and extremely versatile on what she does. I can't sing her praises enough. There's just certain people that come into your life where you realize that you're standing in the midst of greatness, and Ozzy's that.
I think as well, like watching, listening to the two of you going back and forth in the game, again, to kind of compliment how well it works. It's something that I think if you come to like the average gamer with a game like this and the typical kind of execution that you get, so many people would just be overwhelmed or looking at the mechanics of it. And the way that the two of you are just popping off of one another is just, you actually sit down, I'm actually listening to your conversation because it's so funny. It's so great. It actually feels like two people, coming to head with one another and then maybe seeing a wee bit, like there's moments of almost, closeness. I've not finished the game as well, so no spoilers. So
I won't, but there are some great ones. There are some great ones in there.
I'm looking forward to
it. There's some good stuff in there.
You know exactly what I'm doing after this.
Oh, I dig it. One of the things that Bennett started doing with us individually in our sessions, when there was dialogue between the two of us, he would play her take into mine. He would play her take in my cans, and then I'd respond to that. And so it was like I was responding to her being in the room. And once I knew her timing and her rhythms and what she was doing with the character, it made it much more like having a real conversation. And I think that's one of the reasons why it came across that way. I'm quite certain that other directors do that. If there's not, it's better to not let us play in an isolated bubble. It's better to let us respond to something, because that's really all acting is. Great acting is just listening and reacting to what's been said or what's been done. And Ozzy put so much into her voice characters, or into her voice, into Julianna. And I could see her physical reaction just through what she was doing vocally. And it made it easy, again, for me to react and respond and give back something also.
That's brilliant. So before I let you go, I've got a few questions for some of the people back at the offices, JumpCut offices, that wanted to send some stuff down. Jeff, who is a huge, massive fan of the game, he was really annoyed because we're in obviously the UK, and he's in America, and we were playing the game before him because it hit midnight, and he was not happy about the fact that he was still in work waiting for the day to finish. So he's asking, are there any roles that influenced you at all for the role of Colt?
Absolutely. So I was in the original cast production of One Night in Miami, that went on to become a movie on Prime, that on Amazon, that Regina King directed. Yeah. So Kemp Powers, the writer of the piece, actually selected me to play Jim Brown when the original Jim Brown was going to move on after 8 weeks to go do a TV series. So I was picked to be the cover, and I studied Jim Brown's work in Any Given Sunday. And there's this incredible thing that happens when Mr. Jim Brown is angry and frustrated at something that probably requires maybe a level 6 response, and he goes to 10. It was hilarious. And I incorporated that into what I was doing on stage. And the play and the movie, very, 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 very different productions. There was a lot of humor in the play that didn't come in the movie. And Jim was at the center of a lot of it, because he's so stoic and has so much gravitas. And I would just do certain things with the line. And so I used that energy of humor and menace together in the foundation of Colt. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's so damn funny. Because I've listened to the first 20 minutes and I'm laughing at it going, oh yeah, I remember that day. And that was kind of funny, you know? Like if it's funny, it's funny.
So Kyle's got a big one here for you. Did you find it difficult to keep Colt's performance fresh, considering he was a character, you were portraying a character that was living the same events over and over again, whilst trying to have an arc at the same time?
Yeah, that was very challenging because we also recorded over the course of 18 to 20 months. So we're punching back in and back out, and stretches of time would go on between sessions. So I'd have to drop back into Colt, then figure out where we're at in the journey. And I was constantly checking in with Bennett. Where are we in the timeline? How much does this Colt know? And I don't want to give spoilers, but how much do I know in this moment? And where are we in the journey? So there's some versions of Colt it's very fresh, and he's learning for the first time. There's Colt that's been through 5 times. There's Colt that's been through 100 times. Each one required a reset in the dialogue. And that in and of itself, to make it fresh and to keep it moving forward, was extremely, extremely challenging. It causes, it's a mental thing, because you can't give too much energy to a certain moment, and you can't give too little. You got to finesse a word a certain way to make it feel accurate to the number of times through, and that was really, really, really interesting. There's some other pieces, and since you haven't played it all the way through, I don't know where you're at, but there's some other dynamics. There's some other dynamics that occurred that were interesting to play off of, because, and I can't say, because I don't know where you're at. I don't want to blow it for it.
We've just had a camera turn itself off, which is...
I saw that.
Yeah. I love these things.
The Zoom gnomes.
They're just not happy with me today.
Yeah, it's all good. What else you got?
So B was asking, what would you do if you were stuck in the Deathloop? Would you party like an eternalist? Would you murder like Julianna, or would you try and break the loop yourself?
Oh man. That's a good question. That's a really good question. The corporate answer is probably I'd be more like Colt, but the real answer is I'd probably be turning up.
You gotta get a little bit of that in.
Right? I'd probably be like Rambling Frank or one of those other characters. I'd probably would be having a good time, and then I'd wake up one day and go, oh, I can't do this every day. Like, at some point, this is going to get old.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and try and get out of this thing. So, yeah, I'd probably be a hybrid.
Nice. Well, before just last thing here, what does the future look like for you in terms of like are video games on the horizon? I say horizon specifically because I noticed.
Yeah, can't
game.
talk about that yet. Which horizon? I don't know what you're talking about. No clue what you're talking about.
Some game.
Yes, they are on my flat line towards the future. And then there's another one that I don't even know the title of it. I just know the project name that is also apparently a very big one. Nice. Constantly auditioning. I don't think I have a choice now at this point whether or not video games are in my future. I think it's fairly obvious.
You've done it now.
I've done it, and I found out I'm good at it, and I found out it's fun. I was actually having a conversation with Troy Baker the other day, and he was just sharing with me some of his experience and his journey. Video games are definitely in my future, as much as on camera is. Animation in general, I've got several projects right now that I'm working on getting some character design done for a child's program, and then a workplace comedy with my writing partner, Marshall Givens, that we created. And then we've got a nice little project, another comedy, a broad comedy that we've been working on with two iconic figures, one who was both real people, and one who has played the other before. And we're working on that right now. Really excited about going down the avenue of a creative executive producer. I love being a performer, but I also realize that, that's a customer facing experience from a business standpoint, because I got a business brain and a business degree. There has to be more creators behind the scene putting their voices out there and expressing and sharing new ideas. There've got to be more of that on the backside, creating content. That's honestly what drives me the most, is being in a position eventually, or just being in a position to give opportunity to other people that I just think are ridiculously talented, and just sit back, let them do their thing, and I kind of spin the plates in the background and make things happen and let them shine. It's a lot of fun. I think people that are really talented should be given opportunity to shine as much as possible. And I hope that I can rise to a level where I can create massive platform for people to just go out there, kick ass, and do what it is that they do with good material,
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for sitting down to talk to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Aaron, this has been great. I love it.
What's your Twitter handle? Let's keep it going up.
My Twitter handle, let's keep that bad boy going up. Because pilot season's coming and daddy needs a job. And my quote, which is handsome. It is Jason Kelley, Kelley _JK. And then on IG, it's Jason Kelley EY.JK. So underscore and dot.
There we go. You know where to go. Everyone should get on that immediately. Thank you so much, Jason, for sitting down and talking to me. And I suppose to everyone out there, go play Deathloop.
Go play Deathloop, man, and go try and kill Julianna a few times, because Team Colt needs some help. She's a good shot, a real good shot.
I've been loving harassing people as Julianna.
Right. The fact that I didn't know that part was going to happen. I didn't know the folks were just going to be able to just drop in and murk you and then dip out in somebody else's game. So I'm curious to see who's going to be the first Julianna when I start playing. It will probably be Ozzy, is my guess. And then I'll have to contend with that. But I'm curious to see who's going to drop in on me playing and wipe me out. And if I ever get to the end of the game, I probably won't.
Yeah, just send us your gamer tag. I'll show you the ropes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to probably suck because I'm better with a joystick and an orange button, but that just is the generation I grew up in. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun failing up on this game and trying to figure out how to play. It's gonna be a lot of fun.